Hey everybody, it's Craig here, and I'm with Josh Zito. And for those of you who don't know, he's my behind-the-scenes videographer for the last couple of years on all of the YouTube videos. So I'm just going to interview him about some of the photography that he does, aside from the stuff that we do together. So anyway, tell us about the kind of stuff that you do when you're not hanging out with me.
Well, I mostly just do glamour, event photography. I mean, my most regular jobs are just shooting in nightclubs and for certain promoters and organizers and weddings on the summer times, glamour shoots when I have time. Basically, that's about it.
So tell us a little bit about your favorite camera, your favorite lens,
Oh,
if you only had
that's
one lens, that kind of thing.
oh god, that is a tough one. The one that earns me the most amount of my money is the 24 to 70. It's I'll be honest, it's not the most exciting lens I own, but it is by far the most versatile and the most useful lens I
Yeah,
have.
yeah. If I'm just doing street photography or something like that, walking around, that's what I bring with me too.
Yeah.
So if you're shooting portraits, though, do you like your 70 to 200 or your 85?
I do like that lens. I tend to prefer my 85-1.8. I know it's an ancient lens. It's designed ancient times in the 90s or some early 90s, I think. But I picked it up on a whim. I didn't check to see if it autofocused, whatever. I had to get that repaired. But after all that, despite all that, it still is one of my favorite lenses. It's by far the most interesting results, you know?
Yeah, I like the 85, but I find that it almost has to be like half body or three quarter before. Otherwise, I find if you get too close to someone's face, like for headshots, I don't like it for
It's
that.
a little too much distortion for your taste.
Yeah, maybe. I don't
I
know.
guess. I don't know. I mean, I find it's very nice for because the way I shoot a lot of portraiture and glamour stuff is very on location. So when I do that, I'm not that concerned about perfect sharpness. I am concerned about space because sometimes I'm shooting in a space that I make it look like it's a very large space, but I may not actually have that much. 50 is a little too short. 100's a little too long, and I find 85 is that perfect in between where I could take a step forward and it's a portrait, I take a step back, it's a full body shot. You know, it's versatile in that regards.
Well, let's talk about the video because we do a lot, although we're photographers, we actually do a lot of video,
Yeah.
right? So we'll talk about what we do for video. So we'll talk about our white balance settings, maybe in the studio versus outdoors, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, I think in the studio, I think we just make all the cameras match up at 5200
Yeah.
Kelvin, I think it
Yeah.
is.
So we used to do 24 frames per second because I thought it looked more like film.
Cinema.
But then I changed to 29, and I don't think anyone noticed the difference.
No.
So now we're shooting at
Probably less
29.97.
jutteriness on YouTube.
Yeah,
I'd
especially
imagine.
with Josh's shaky footage. But I kind of leave it that way though because I think it gives it some kind of like authentic rawness. But
I keep forgetting to bring my IS lenses.
I do have a glide cam HD 5000 I think it's called. It's in the other room, but it's hard to use. I don't
Oh
know
my
if
god,
you've never
it's
used
hard
one.
to use. That one
So
is hard to use.
we both kind of bailed on that. So I don't know. Let us know what you think of the shaky footage.
We
But,
tried using a gimbal once too, but it's a lot of work using that thing.
Yeah, that was true. Yeah, we used that. But yeah, we usually use a couple of Canon 5Ds. Lately, we've been using the 7D, which does great video.
A lot of the tight shots you'll see are from the 7D. So surprisingly, still very relevant, you know.
So, what lens do you use mostly for the video shoots? Because I don't really pay attention half the time. But because I'm busy, so I'm
On the
not-
7D, if space allows on location, I tend to use the 70 to 200 just because it's already cropped. So what's the point of putting a wide angle lens? You may as well just put a long lens and just make it really long. And on my 5D, the roaming one, or sometimes it's a wide shot, I would just 24 to 70 if it's on a tripod, 24 to 105 if I can, if it's outdoors and I'm walking around with it. So just because it's got image stabilizer and we're rarely ever shooting below f4 anyway, so that lens is okay. I mean, I wish it was sharper. I wish it was less barrel distortion, but whatever.
what's that thing you've got? Zacuto?
Oh,
What
the,
about- what
the
about that?
viewfinder, the
That's- yeah.
Zacuto. Yeah, I think that's pretty good. I mean, I switch up between them, right? If I'm wearing glasses or wearing contact lenses, it corrects my vision, so I can't physically focus on something this far without my glasses on, so I have to use the Zacuto, and it's by far, hands down, the best optical view, I guess viewfinder loop, I guess you could say, for a camera. I've tried a whole bunch of different ones, Hoodmans, I've tried all these Chinese brands. Nothing quite comes to the quality of the Zacuto. You do pay for it though, that's the only downside.
So, how has your approach changed when we're shooting on location outdoors, say, compared to the studio?
Well, I mean, I think while we do try to have a consistent white balance, the problem is cloud cover rolls over, white balance is different, you know. and everything just goes all wonky, or maybe the sun starts to change its direction and starts hitting certain reflective surfaces nearby, like a wall, or shining through trees, and all of a sudden the color cast is wrong. So it's very hard to keep that balance. So what I sometimes don't tell Craig is I sometimes put in an auto white balance.
Well, sometimes that works better, though, to be honest. Yeah. I mean,
Instead of constantly color correcting.
I
Right?
do the editing, and I could really work on my color grading a bit more. Like, I find that very difficult to color grade.
It's difficult.
It's a lot harder than, say, like a still image.
Especially around Nova Scotia.
But so if you had any tips to maybe, say, a beginning videographer, what would that be?
Tripod as often as possible if you can. Even a cheap one makes a big difference. If you must handhold, get a stabilized lens. If you're Nikon VR, if you're Sony Steady Shot, if you're Pentax, why on earth are you using I'm kidding for all you Pentax users out there. No, it's just their video options are somewhat limited. Canon, get IS, Sigma, OS, whatever it is. Trust the stabilizer system. They are a godsend. So I would say they're worth it. For those guys, I mean, if you can't afford it, if you absolutely must, I mean, like I said, breathing techniques, try to be calm. Mostly, believe it or not, I know that sounds like a very ridiculous tip, but seriously, being calm helps a lot, right? You don't breathe as fast, your heart doesn't beat as fast, you're not shaking as much. You think clearer too. And that's the other thing too, right? So you don't have to focus as much energy on, oh, I gotta hold it still, I gotta do this, I gotta do that. Again, even if you can't do, just monopod, anything to keep it stable. It will definitely make your life a lot easier.
So it's Zen photography tips with Josh Cito. But so tell us where can we find out more about you? Like, what's your website? What's your Facebook? How do we find out more about you? What's your Instagram? Come on.
My Instagram, I think it's just Josh Cito Photo, SZETO. I know just pretend the Z wasn't there, just Cito. Facebook, just Josh Cito Photo. Yeah, if you look that up, you'll mostly see pictures of cars and girls and guns, and mostly just girls. I do take pictures of guys once in a while too, but
and what about your website?
I think it's joshcito.ca, but I'll be honest, I really need to
sure.
update that page a lot more.
So it's Josh, JOSHSZETO. So you could just Google that. I'm sure he's probably the only one, I would think, right?
Believe it or not, I think there's another one in Toronto who also occasionally does photography, but I think he's a cellist, from what I can gather.
Weird. Anyway, thanks for watching this or listening to this podcast. This is a video and audio podcast on iTunes. And anything else to pass on before we go?
Shutter Slam. Go to Shutter Slam. If you're already on there, then...
Josh has got a little mini-series this month, and you can check that out and over 100 other videos on shutterslam.com. Anyway, thanks for watching and listening, and we'll talk to you later.